let's do it.
Why not? Hello, everyone, and welcome down to episode 129 of Australia's #1 ranked photography podcast, the Down South Photo Show, with me, Brendan Waits, here in Ocean Grove, Victoria, Australia, and the gentleman on your other screen, or in your other ear if you're listening to the show, it's Cam Blake in Greensborough, Victoria, Australia. Hello, Cameron.
The hell have I moved? Have I moved house?
I think how many episodes have you done from Greensboro? This would be about your fourth, maybe.
I was going to say, I think four's about right. Yeah, I think it's one in every 25 or so we sort of get up here.
Yes,
so,
that's right. Sitting in new to the channel, Cam's normally in Hobart, Tasmania, Australia. But,
welcome to all those new people.
That's right.
And I'm good. How you going? You going?
Yeah,
well?
very well, thank you. It feels like I only saw you yesterday on the pod.
Yeah, it does. What was it? Only 5 days ago, wasn't it?
Well, we are recording this a little earlier in the week because we have various commitments all over the place, not least of which is you going on holiday, you lucky bugger. Stop it.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it funny, like you said, welcome to Australia's #1 ranked photo podcast. We had a mini discussion about that today, didn't we?
We did, with another podcast.
Another podcast who just doesn't seem to rate at all. But
I know.
I think we need to throw him out a bit of a life boy, like sort of give him some tips maybe, or maybe give him some help. Give him some help on how to
give him a little leg up.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you reckon that's been a bit cheeky, or?
It's Cam Blake. I mean, what else? It's what you do.
That's an in-joke, isn't it?
Thank you for everyone for
the other day.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. The other day, as I was leaving home the other day, one of those cars with the old horns passed my house. Aruga. And I almost wet my pants.
Yes.
Anyway, that's an in-joke that no one gets apart from you and I, really. So
pretty much.
What a crap start to a show. And how's the other show not outrating us with this kind of start?
Particularly with your audio quality tonight, but that's okay. We'll get by.
Not good, is it?
It's totally fine. It's fine. You sound fabulous.
I mean, I'm on the wireless headphones, so maybe that's what it is.
No, it's okay, Cam. We can all hear you loud and clear. Thanks to everyone for subscribing, following the channel, and all that fun stuff. It's the subs are building. Thank you for the 28 billion of you that now listen to our podcast every week. Thanks for helping us. Thanks for helping us pass 10,000 downloaded hours on YouTube, which happened a couple of weeks ago, and we didn't even acknowledge it. So thank you very much.
I think I've just changed my audio. Is that better?
Way better. You sound like you're standing next to me. I love it.
Yeah, there you go. I had it hooked up to the computer. Sorry, I had some lessons last week from a guy. The guy called TP rang me and said, if you want to get great audio, this is how you do it.
I was going to say, clearly you got, anyway. The winter photo comp, People's Choice is not far off closing now. So by the time this goes out, it'll be your last chance to jump on and vote for last month's photography competition from us, and the theme was winter, and you can only do that on our Facebook page. Head on over to the Faceache and look for us, the Down South Photo Show, and it's the pinned post, and you can go ahead and vote for your favorite photo.
They're going well. We have a lot of votes going on. Last week we had a real clear winner. This week, it's still tight between about 3 of them are really tight. So get on there and vote. Down South Photo Show at Facebook. Get on there and vote away, because we don't want to draw. We want someone to be an outright winner.
That's right. We can't be level pegging. Now, while we're at it, dsps.com.au is positively buzzing with activity. You can jump on there. You can see previous episodes of the show. It'll direct you to the YouTube channel if you're listening to the pod. There's our merch page. You can buy us a beer there if you want to. You don't have to, but if you feel that way inclined, I don't mind a beer. What about you, Cam?
I would. If I was you, I'd definitely buy us one.
And also, of course, you can check out our workshops that we've got up with our dates now locked in for 2025. Including the Great Ocean Road, the Murray Mallee, Tarkine to Cradle Mountain, and Freycinet Bay of Fires.
Yes. That hasn't been dated yet, but that'll be the second half of the year.
Yes, so looking forward to that. Even if you just want a bit more information, just jump on there and have a look-see, and you can contact us through the website, dsps.com.au.
Did you go to some marketing course or something this week? You got the marketing hat on.
Verbal diarrhea.
Yeah, wipe your chin. The last 30 days, we've had close to 300 people jump on our website. Clearly that's a mistake.
That's right. Was that you just
And
updating it?
this will be updating every day or just checking how many beers people have bought us.
Okay.
But it's good. We're putting more stuff up there. Um, by the time this show comes out, people that are subscribed to our newsletter, which is via the website, there'll be a newsletter. We're going to try and do like a monthly newsletter with a bit of behind the scenes stuff and a bit of what you and I have been getting up to, and sort of keeping an eye on what we do when we go away and things like that. So keep an eye for that. We might even chuck a few little special things in there, or I don't know,
Definitely, definitely.
100% off workshops or something like that. I don't know.
There'll be some tips and tricks and stuff like that along the
Yeah,
way as well. So
we'll evolve that.
yeah, feel free to jump on over to dsps.com.au. Cam, let's talk backgrounds. I'm going first because it's my turn.
Okay, you go first then.
This is landscape photography in its simplest form. I love this kind of stuff. I've got quite a few photos done like this. This is just Clifton Springs, which is on the northern side of the Bellarine Peninsula, 10 kilometers north of my house. Shot on the Nikon D750 with using Nikon's 28-300 hunk of glass, which is
Right. With the Hunger Glass.
yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not. Ooh, look at that. It's not the world's best lens, but it is a very versatile lens because it's 28-300 in full frame equivalent. And we'll be talking a bit more about that tonight on the show, actually. And yeah, there's just the old channel marker out in the water there. Pretty simple. There wasn't much going on. The sunset was pretty crummy, so I just thought I'd have some intersecting lines with the horizon, and yeah,
Couldn't put
and
a
a
spirit of
bright
Tasmania.
yellow thing. And for those of you who know that channel marker, you will know that right there, I have removed a sign.
Oh, so it's not real. It's AI.
It's totally AI. It's edited, is what it is. But the sign is really ugly that hangs off the side of that.
Right.
Yeah, anyway, it's a long story, but it's
What does the sign say?
something about, I don't know.
Insert Photoshop here.
Yeah, watch out for big ships or something to local fishermen. It is an important sign, but photographically, it just didn't cut the mustard. So I got rid of it.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yes. Your background, Cameron?
My background. Now, this is going to be controversial, but I'm going to put it up there.
Is it solely made with AI?
No, it's got someone in there who's probably going to hate me giving him a shout out, but I think it's only fair and just. So
right.
this is just a shot I did the other morning. I've got how I said I was going to downgrade my gear.
Yes.
Or downside. I've done that.
We're going to talk about that in a second. Yes.
Yeah. So I've started doing that, and so the other morning I went out with a good friend of the show, Jamie. Jamie's also bought a new camera.
Is that Jamie B?
It is Jamie B. Jamie B from the Overland Track. For those who want to meet Jamie, go check out part 2 of the Overland Track where we do an interview with him on the track. So Jamie's an avid Canon user, really, really good Canon user, loves his Seascapes, his Astro, all that kind of fancy stuff, does a really good job at that. And he went and bought himself an R5 Mark 1. Is that the original one? The Mark 2 is what's just come out.
Yeah, the R5 original, yes.
So he's bought the original R5 just the other day. Now, like any good photographer, surely you'd just break that out of the packet and get using it, wouldn't you? Like straight away, put some film in it and away you go. Not Jamie. So I said to Jamie, I've got a new camera. Let's go out and do a shoot. He goes, I've got a new camera. Let's go out and do a new shoot. So we went down to Blackman's Bay, which is just south of Hobart, this beautiful little coastal area. It was a beautiful sunrise, perfect, little rock pools, the whole lot. Anyway, we get out there. It's sort of dark before the sun comes up, and I get my camera out. I said, oh, how's your camera going? He goes, good. Yeah, I bought my old one today. I'm like, what'd you bring your old one for? Where's your new one? He goes, I didn't want to bring it out. I haven't set it up properly, so I didn't want to bring it out. So he didn't bring it. So he brought his old chunky 6D or whatever it is and continued to use that. So I thought it's only fair that I take a photo of him when he's got a brand new, beautiful R5 Canon in his possession, squatting down using the screen on the back because it doesn't tilt on the 6D, taking a photo of the coastline. So Jamie, for the love of Christ, get your new camera out and going, or I'm going to start calling you out that you don't actually have one. I reckon he's telling porcupines. Anyway, that's a long story behind a sunrise, but
nice.
Who buys a new camera and then doesn't use it? I get it.
Probably the only people I can think of are camera collectors.
Well, you know what? I actually mentioned your name the other morning because it's something that you sort of do as well. You buy stuff and you don't have that urgency just to get out and use it the minute you get it.
No, not really.
You're happy to go, oh, I'll just use it when I get around to it next.
Yeah, actually, that happened with my OM5 when
yeah.
Yeah, it stayed in the box for a little while.
Yeah,
I
well, the
wasn't
same
ready
with
for it.
that.
It turned up too quick, and then it was like, oh crap, I better go and use this thing. But you know me, I get busy and distracted, and that's what
Well, it's
happens.
like the EM1X. You had that for like 8 years before you even turned it on.
I still love
So
that camera, man. I still think that's got a place, the EM1X. So it's a cracking little unit.
So
Big fan,
I think
big
that I
fan.
think there's two avenues of type of people here. Like I get my new camera, like, oh, cool, something shiny, let's go out. I always go off the front deck and just take a photo off the front deck of my house.
Yep, yep.
Where other people go, I'll get around to it, maybe next weekend, maybe the weekend after. Something else I always so do, every time I get a new stereo or a car, which doesn't happen too often, but I always put AC/DC Back in Black on CD.
You have
That's what
to.
I play. That's what I play first on any audio system I have. Because I heard a rumor one day, it's probably absolute bollocks, but someone said that a lot of big bands, when they're doing sound testing in the stadiums, they have Back in Black, the CD,
Yeah.
because it was so well recorded and it was such a good audio recording as the testing. So I'm like, well, if it's good enough for them, well,
Yeah.
clearly it's good enough for me. But yeah.
And a tiny little segue. In the early 2000s, my wife and I were backpacking in Europe, and we were in Spain, in Valencia.
Right.
And before the bullfighting, we didn't get tickets for the bullfighting, but they had bullfighting on. And over the PA, they played Hell's Bells.
Yes.
So I
Mm.
wonder if that's the same
Well, it's the
reasoning.
same album.
Well, there you
Same
go.
album.
So it must be.
So, but
There
it
you go.
still doesn't change the fact that Jamie's got a new camera and he hasn't broken it out. Jamie, pull your finger out
Now,
now.
questions without notice, Cameron. I know we
Of
haven't got
course.
this on the run sheet. Run sheet, listen to me. So you put up a post during the week, over the weekend, I believe, talking about sort of a bit of back to the future for you,
Yeah.
and changing camera systems, and you've
Yes.
settled. You've settled on what you're going to be using for the next little while. Is that right?
Oh, the next 2 minutes, yeah. No, I have. So a couple episodes ago, I said I wanted to sort of downscale things and move away and minimize stuff a bit, and I've done that, which doesn't take me long. When I make a decision, I just go.
Yep.
Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong.
Yep.
But I have settled, and again, this is going to be. This sounds so stupid. I've actually gone full circle for the third time. So I've actually gone and got. I traded in all my Fuji GFX lenses and body and the whole lot, and the changeover was almost identical. So I've gone and got the Leica M11 again. It's the second one I've owned, with a 21mm lens, and I've got a 50mm lens that I'm renting. That's on its way.
Mm-hmm.
And the other morning when I was down here behind me taking photos, straight away I noticed a difference in how I shot. Like I can literally just pick the tripod up with this camera on one hand and just walk around. It's so light and nimble and small. Where I had the Fuji, I'd have to pick up the whole thing, and it was really quite cumbersome. And I also traded off a heap of Olympus lenses. So now I have my Olympus OM1 with the big, nice white lens for my wildlife stuff, because that's a cracking combination.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just got a standard wide angle lens for that. So I've got minimal lenses for the Olympus with a macro lens, and then I've just got this other Leica minimal. So my system now has gone from about this big to about that big,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm happy. I like it.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're happy. I'm just having a quick look through some specs of the Leica M11 for
Yeah, don't look at
people
the
who
price tag.
don't know the camera. Yeah, a little bit of irony there, isn't it? After making
I
so much
feel
fun about Canon and their
I
R1
feel like
pricing.
I do feel like a dickhead, but that's okay.
Well, considering you could buy 1.5 R1s for the cost of this M11.
Yes, but that's the price. What did I pay for it?
Yeah,
They're different.
two different things. Yes, I
Different. Yeah,
understand that.
yes.
So what is the M11 cam? Is it more like a rangefinder camera?
It is, yeah. It's an M series rangefinder. So people might remember the classic M6 and the M2s and all those kind of classic old rangefinder cameras from Leica. It's pretty much a digital version of that. I think they're into. I think the M8 was the first digital one they did, or M8 or
That
8.7.
sounds right. Yeah.
So they're into their third or fourth version of it. But this one, I used to have the Leica M10R, which is the model before this, and then they upgraded a few things. So this is what I've gone with. So it's a rangefinder type camera. So you don't actually have an electronic viewfinder. The viewfinder is when you've got to match up the two squares to get the focus right, which I use occasionally. And it's also got an LCD screen that you can do your focusing on as well. But it's very simple. You're probably looking at a picture of it now. It's
Yeah.
minimalistic. It's three
Yeah.
buttons on the back, a couple of buttons on the top, a couple of dials, and that's it. And I found, and this is what I liked about it last time I had it, is it slows you right down. Like there's no quick point and shoot with this. It's,
Yeah.
you've really got to think about what you're focusing and framing and things like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Looks like a classic landscape setup, really, and that's hence why you've hung on to the big zoom telephoto with your
Yes.
OM1,
Yeah.
for birding. So like when you or for big zoom telephoto stuff. So
Yeah.
very, very, very nice. So that'll be interesting. Keep us posted, Cam, on your journey with the Leica gear, because
Cool.
I'm sure our listeners will be interested to see where that journey takes you.
Now the question is, and I've asked myself this, does it take better photos? Does it make me a better photographer? Does it do anything? Like, yes and no.
Well,
Like
it's
it.
interesting, isn't it? It's the classic wag the dog story, isn't it? Where
Hmm,
just because you happen to have a fantastic camera, does that make you a better photographer? Of course, the answer is
no,
no, it doesn't.
sure. Yeah.
It's the archer, not the arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be
Like
interesting.
I can honestly
Sorry.
say with this camera, with the Leica, I reckon I make maybe more mistakes with this camera than I do with other cameras because it is all manual focus. It's all manual exposure sort of thing and manual, everything's pretty much manual on it. So, but the benefit of that is that if you make a mistake, you learn really quickly from it.
Yes.
So, yeah, and that way you sort of slow yourself down. Like I said, I think I said once before, it's the closest experience I have to shooting film is using this Leica. And I
Yeah.
love that. I love that whole slowing the process down, not taking 1,000 shots, maybe just taking a handful of shots. So, yeah, I'll definitely keep you updated. Like I said, I got a nice 21mm lens with it. It was actually a Voigtlander lens,
So
which I've
sorry,
never had.
just for the folks at home, 21 mil, that's full frame equivalent.
That's full frame. So this is a full frame digital camera,
Gotcha.
60 megapixels.
Yep.
But you can also shoot at 36 megapixel or 18 megapixels. So it adjusts the sensor accordingly to do what you need to do. And it takes a manual focus lens. There's no autofocus for it.
Yep.
So I bought a 21mm lens for my landscape, and then I've got a 50mm lens just for shooting around, shooting the breeze.
It's
Uh,
remarkable how much you have to pay to get so little in a camera these days.
it is. Look, to be honest, like I've had a few people, and I've questioned myself before. Like the retail price of these is stupid, like
Yes.
absolutely stupid. Like unless you are running some multi-million-dollar business, there's no reason to buy one of these. And I'm not running one, and you're not running one.
Oh, no,
Um,
I disagree. I think for all the reasons you've already stated, it's worth buying one of these if you can get one. And you are a professional photographer. These are tools of the trade, my friend. So
they're also
I,
good tax deductions and GTS refund products.
well, when you're, yeah, that's right. We just wrapped up the financial year, so that's handy.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so something a little different today for our
this is
podcast.
different. This is
Um,
Brendan throwing curveball different.
we got sent a very, very interesting Dear Cam question, which we thought we would dissect. It's quite windy, long worded. And I read through it a few times today. And basically what I've done is I've broken this Dear Cam down into 6 different parts, which sounds like a lot, but
Jesus.
bear with us. It's an interesting tale that I think resonates with a lot of people that listen to the show, or photographers out there, and it's got revolves around camera gear, which we've just been talking about. So let's get into it. It's from Peter from South Australia. I don't know where in South Australia, but hello, Peter from South Australia.
Maybe he's from Peterborough.
That's right. So part one is hello, you two. That'll do. That'll get it read out. I am now at a crossroad in my photographic journey. Now that's the first part of it. I'm at a crossroads in my photographic journey. It's so funny, I feel like a lot of people I know are at a crossroads with their photography, and I think
Yeah.
it's got a lot to do with technology.
Yeah.
I think it's got a lot to do with what's being released at the moment. Grass is always greener with the new
Yeah.
gear. There's a bit of
There's a
FOMO
lot of
going on.
I think, and this has been going on, I think, for the last few years, there is too many choices and frequently updated choices. Like
Yeah.
just when you think you got your head around a system that you like, or a camera that you like, or a genre that you like, something comes out that starts pointing you in the other direction or a different direction.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a minefield out there at the moment, particularly for people that are looking to break into the game and buy
Mm.
themselves, in inverted commas, a real camera, as people like to call them when they come into my shop. I want to buy
Yep.
a real camera. I'm sick of my phone. Do you know, I got a comment from a young lady the other day. She wouldn't be mid-20s, whatever gen that is, if we want to label her. And she said to me, she goes, I am so sick of using my phone when I travel.
Yeah.
Can you recommend a camera system? And the number one reason was because she didn't want to look at her phone when she was taking photos.
Yeah.
And you know, I
She's
said,
clearly not. She's clearly not mid-20s, and she's obviously trapped in someone sensible's body.
I said to her, you know, you can put your phone in airplane mode, and she agreed. She said yes, but I don't even want the temptation of the thing.
Yeah.
She said because you know I invariably find myself, you know, even if she's just traveling in Australia, like she'll be at a coffee shop or somewhere, and she'll want to take a photo, so she picks up her phone, and that
Yeah.
generally leads to that compulsion to check a
Yeah.
message or to look at
Yeah.
social
Yeah.
media. So she wanted to
Yeah.
get away from that, and that led us down a bit of a path to, in the end, we settled on either the Panasonic Lumix series, the TZ series cameras, the TZ110,
Yeah.
or
Or a Canon R1.
a Canon GX Mark II, GX7 Mark G7X, G7X
Yep.
Mark II, which is their compact cameras, which are beautiful little cameras with fantastic lenses
Yep.
that they don't make
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
They
Power
haven't made
shot.
them for about 4 or 5 years. Yeah, the power shot. So
Yeah. Yeah.
great little system. So yeah. So the first part of the deer cam is that Peter here finds himself at a crossroad. His photography. He goes on. I've been a
Mm.
Nikon user most of my adult life, and recently have bought into the Olympus slash OM system setup. So
Flash curry system.
that's right. So that was an interesting statement as well. That he'd shot Nikon, quite similar to the journey I went on actually, because
Yeah.
although I did have Olympus early days, the E300 was my first Olympus camera, which I still love that thing. I'm going to find one day and just have it.
Yeah.
You know, like my Pentax K1000 obsession. I'll end up with another E300.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, I migrated across to the Micro Four Thirds system for Olympus. Main reason being, like most people, wanted something smaller, more lightweight to travel with. And
Yep.
now what's happened is the entire industry's gone that way. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's where we're headed with this from Peter.
Mm.
Cam, what did you shoot before Olympus?
So my camera journey, I started out with a K1000
Yes.
as a film camera. Then I had an EOS 630 film camera
Wow.
yonks ago, and then I had an EOS 50, like the silver one. I think that's the silver one with a
Beautiful little camera.
24 to 105 USM lens on it.
Hmm.
And then I went to the Olympus E1,
That's right.
and then I went down that journey. But I always had, I think I always had like an OM1 Olympus film camera. But I did a little bit of splashing around in Canon at the very very early stages, and then pretty much been Olympus, Fuji, Leica, Olympus, Fuji, Leica, Olympus, Fuji, Leica the whole way. So
That E1, that was a work of art as well. I think it had the same sensor as the E300, didn't it? It just had
well,
weatherproofing or something.
yeah, funny you say that. I found an E300 for you, $360 with a couple of lenses on eBay.
Beautiful. I don't need
Yeah.
the lenses. I think I've still got them in a shoebox
Oh, there you go.
somewhere.
But the E1 was their first professional model they
That's right.
brought out.
It was too.
12 megapixel.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's ahead of its time. Peter goes on. My Nikon life has me from 10 millimeters through to 500 millimeters, or
Mm.
17 to 750 in full frame equivalent. So that says to me that he's got like a 5100, 5300, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a 7. Does he save? Oh, sorry, Nikon 7200. There you go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he has an APS-C size sensor, which gives him
Yeah.
15 to 750 millimeters in full frame equivalent over 3 different lenses. And his Olympus
Right.
journey has him from 12 millimeters to 300 millimeters, or 24 to 600 over 3 different
So
lenses.
he's not as wide in the Olympus, but a bit, and not as far. So he's in between, or a bit less
Yeah.
than the Nikon.
Yeah, that's right. So
Three different lenses.
yeah, over 3 lenses, which is
Mm.
fairly commonplace. So he says, I prefer the size and weight of the Nikon, the D7200, but like the smaller lenses from Olympus and the mirrorless benefits, lighter weight,
Yeah.
etc. I feel the need to combine the two forms. So the next natural progression seems to be to trade all everything for Nikon
Yep.
mirrorless.
Mm.
So this is interesting. So his quandary is, do I go full frame or do I go crop sensor? I feel
Yep.
either way, I will need to start from scratch, as only one of my Nikon lenses is compatible with the FTZ adapter.
Yeah.
Now, straight off the
Mm.
bat, FTZ adapter, in my humble opinion, and it's very humble, if you can avoid
Yeah.
adapters. They're an extra
Yeah.
piece of kit that sort of defeat the purpose of going to smaller, more lightweight gear. You've actually got
Yeah.
to chuck and adapt. Now, I understand some people might have glass that's quite expensive,
Mm.
f1.2 lenses, that sort of thing, for example, that you don't want to give up on. I can understand that.
It's counteractive to that weight issue though, isn't it? Because
Definitely.
I've seen this a lot too, where people rock up on workshops and they've got new R5s or R6s or whatever they might have,
Yep.
and I had to go mirrorless. I wanted to go lighter and smaller. Then they pull out their massive EF lenses, the 2.8 EFN lenses with an adapter on it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, well, you've just added all that weight back on. So
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, so that's one quandary people will have is if I do go to a lighter, smaller system, but I got all this beautiful glass I've invested in,
Yes.
do I bring that with me and put an adapter on,
Yeah,
or do I not?
that's right. And
Yeah,
and this is the classic quandary, like as you just said. So the next natural progression seems to be to trade all for Nikon mirrorless.
yeah,
Well, yes, if you because you're familiar with the Nikon ecosystem and the learning curve will be pretty shallow for you.
yeah,
So, like in terms of pure operation, like where things are,
yeah.
what the buttons do, and where to find them in the menu. So I can sort of get on board with you there, Peter. But then he asked the eternal question: do I go full frame or do I go crop censored?
Mm,
In my humble opinion, and so take that with a grain of salt, I personally think crop censored cameras are on the way out.
yeah,
They're going the way of mirrored system cameras. I do think, and well, I hope and I think that full frame will become the norm,
the standard.
probably within the next 3 or 4 years. I would have
Yeah,
thought,
yeah. Well, I think as well.
as they get
Yeah.
cheaper to produce for these manufacturers.
I think as well, if he's thinking of going crop sensor or full frame sensor, then if he goes down the crop sensor avenue, well, he's already got a crop sensor. He's already got the Olympus.
Yeah.
You may as well just go stay with that and just get rid of all your Nikon stuff and buy some nicer Olympus lenses, maybe. But I'm the same. Like I, I don't, I don't necessarily buy into the fact that full frame is better. But I'm on the same opinion with you. I think crop sensors are going to start moving their way out a bit.
Yes.
Um, and I think it's nice to have a full frame in your repertoire if you can.
Yes.
Like I'm in a bit of a lucky position where I've got a full frame now and also the Olympus. But if I was starting from absolute scratch and got rid of everything, I'd go full frame. Just
Yeah.
purely, and it's not for the crop factor that you can crop heavily and stuff like that. I just think it just makes logical sense to have a full frame sensor.
It does.
It's the same size as a 35 mil frame. It just everything makes sense at full frame as opposed
Yeah.
to crop sensors.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre that it's taken 20 years of digital
Mm,
photography to finally we're
yeah,
starting to settle on full frame being the way forward. Now, having said that,
maybe it's a bit more affordable now as well. Like
of
that's
course,
probably changed a
definitely,
bit.
definitely, yeah, yeah. And as more and more manufacturers produce more and more full frame cameras, then they should get cheaper.
Yeah, that's right.
One point I'd like to make to Peter and to all our listeners, if you're in the same boat as Peter, considering whether you want to go to full frame or stick with a crop sensor. If you go full frame, you essentially have a crop censored camera in your hands.
Yes, that's
What
right.
what I mean by that? You can literally use
Gaffer
a
tape
digital.
and just
That's
scaffer it
right.
up.
Tape it up. You can use a digital teleconverter. So basically, most cameras have it now, where you can actually set your camera to a crop censored mode and get that reach back of the lens that Peter here was talking about, because he was saying that he wants to have up to 750 millimeters. Now that's impossible, basically, to get a full frame lens at 750 mil unless you've got $750 million to do it.
That's right.
So,
It's a big
um,
expense.
but you can't go the other way. If you buy a crop censored camera, you can't convert it to full frame. It just
That's
doesn't
right.
work like that. So
Yeah.
when you've got a full frame sensor, you can effectively shoot as a crop setup if you want to.
Yeah.
And I think now it's a moot point weight wise and size wise, because Nikon's Z series cameras are as small as anything Olympus have put out lately. So
Yeah. And I think the good thing that's coming out as well with the Z lenses and the RF lenses as well, their good quality glass is now starting to get lighter and smaller. Like it's still, it's not that heavy glass as it always is. It seems to be a bit more, I guess, combined a bit better with the body, where I think at the start some of the lenses they were bringing out were quite big and bulky still. But he does say that he wants to have that 15 mil to 750.
that's right. So that's the next part of his
in
of his
in,
question.
in just two lenses. He wants it, not three.
Yeah.
That's a big ask.
Is there a full frame or crop system out there that would cover the full frame equivalent of 15 millimeters to 750 with just two decent lenses? No, there's not.
I don't think so. No,
No, there's not. There's purely not.
Yeah, like they don't Nikon do a 15 to 750.
That's right. No, there isn't. So I think the nearest you would get would be the Nikon, the one I've got, the 28 to 300. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
But if you're looking over two lenses, potentially you could have, say, a 28. Well, you want 15, so that's that's really tough. I mean, you're going to look at a 24. You're going to need three lenses. So
yeah, to give him an idea now, like Nikon do a 24 to 400, but then you're not going to get your 15. You're not going to get your larger one. So you're going to be
24 to 400, and that's in a full frame setup. That's not bad.
That's in the Z lenses, yeah. So that's pretty good.
Yep.
But that's going to be tricky to get that 15 onwards.
Yep.
So
if we go back to the point we just made, if you've got 400 and you use a 2x digital converter,
you can do that. Yeah, well, you can
presto, you've got 800 millimeters.
Or even if you were to buy the converter for them, if it suited those lenses.
Sure.
They also do another one, which is a 180 to 600. So something like that could work. You could get like a 180 to 600 close enough to 750. And then if you get like a 15 to 100 or something, or 15 to 70 or something, I don't know what they do, but you really, like, you're asking to go from one extreme to the focal length to the other in two lenses. That's near on, if not impossible. It's and if you do, you're either going to pay an absolute frigging arm and a leg, and you're going to introduce all that weight again. I think if you bring two lenses with that kind of focal range, you sort of your original point's a bit muted. So
it's good though, because this is a discussion that needs to be had, because it is hard to, there's going to be compromise somewhere, and knowing where to compromise is the tough part. What I would say to Peter is go back through your image catalog and let's see what you like shooting. Now, if you're a landscape shooter, then probably having a 750 millimeter equivalent isn't overly necessary. And that was at 150 to 600. I know Sigma and Tamron both make a 150 to 600, might come into play. And then focus, pour your money into a better quality, wider angle setup with a bit of zoom. So the 24 to 70, it's funny, I was in a similar boat, like thinking, I want wide. And then I put the 24 to 70 on and went, gee, 24 mil in full frame is still pretty bloody wide.
Well, it's funny you say that, because the other morning when I was down on the beach, I had my 21 mil, and I was sitting there going, this is not wide enough. This is like, there was some really cool rock pools, and then this really nice sunrise happening in the background. I'm like, I want that, but I want that out there as well. So horses for courses, I guess everyone shoots a bit differently, but look, it's really tricky to get all that coverage in a couple of lenses. There is a 14 to 24 2.8. That's only 4,500.
Oh, is that all?
And then you can do like the 24 to 400. So 24 to 400, 28 to 400. That's another $2,500. So there's $7,000 worth of lenses there. And then if you've just got a converter or digital converter, you can get yourself to 750. That's an extreme focal range, I would say. Like you said, he needs to probably look at his catalog and go, right, well, I shoot a lot of 15 to 30, that's roughly, and then I shoot a lot of 500 to 750, but I don't really shoot much in the middle. Then don't get a lens for the middle unless you really
that's right.
specifically need one.
So you're basically going to answer your own question. However, this is where the plot thickens, and I really like the questioning here from Peter, because he's making us think about it as much as he needs to think about it. And this is kind of the kicker. I feel this is what Peter says. I feel conflicted as we are always being told that the gear does not matter and we don't need new gear or better gear, etc. I then wonder what would be the point of upgrading to an interchangeable system and worry about lens choices, etc., when we're being told that we can get the same results from any camera. Should I just look for a good super zoom and not need any more than that? Or do I wait for a smartphone with a full frame sensor and decent glass? I think that last part was tongue in cheek, but yeah, and you're right. I mean, we've been banging on ad nauseum on this show about finding, a good secondhand camera. You can probably find, even now, a slightly older model Z series camera, like the first iteration of the Z7, that's full frame, for a reasonable price. It's a good way to dip your toe in the water. And you're right to feel conflicted, because people do say it doesn't matter so much about the gear anymore, and it doesn't matter whether you shoot on a crop sensor or you shoot on a full frame sensor. It's going to be, Cam used the phrase before, horses for courses. And now that's tough, because you want to sort of put yourself in a camera store and actually feel these things, and that's hard to do as well. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I know in Adelaide, Peter, I don't know if you're in close to Adelaide, but you've got a few camera stores there you could go and check the gear out and put in your hands. But it's it's quite the minefield, Cam.
I think he's answered his own. I don't think there is a conflict. I think the conflicts make believe. I think because he's got all the gear that he wants, apart from maybe that extra super zoom he's talking about. But he's 100% right. We all do. We like I said, we bang on it all the time. It's not the gear that makes the photos; it's the photographer.
Yeah.
You've proven that. You're using like a D750, which is an old camera.
Yep.
I'm using now an OM1, which is relatively old now, considering. It makes no difference what camera you're using. If Peter was struggling with the weight of all the camera gear, or he had some, physical issues where he had a shoulder issue or a wrist issue, whatever it might be, then that conflict becomes less, because I'm doing this for a purpose. But if you're just sitting there looking at all these beautiful new cameras in the camera shop and going, well, I need one of those, and I'd like to get that, and Joe Blow down the street's got one, and the guy at the camera club's got one of those, then I don't think you do. I think you're only creating your own conflict, because if you're happy with how your images are looking, and you're happy with how the gear's working, then save your pennies and just book a workshop instead.
That's hard to argue. I'm going to stray into ethical territory here, Cameron, which is always dangerous on the Down South Photo Show, but I'm going to. At what point? And we've talked about AI, we've talked about editing, we talk about it all the time. There's a company out there called Topaz. If anyone's on social media and into their photography, you get bombarded with their adverts about denoise, sharpening and denoising. The ethical question I'm putting to you, Cameron, is, let's say Peter decides, you know what, bugger it, I'm going to go and buy a super zoom compact camera. So let's say, for argument's sake, he buys the Canon SX70HS, which is a beautiful little super zoom compact camera, gives you 1350 millimeters of zoom. It starts at 24 mil, 24 to 1350 equivalent. I mean, it's nuts.
Ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. So I've sold a couple of these cameras recently, and one lady took hers to Africa with her. Right. And now she tells me, and I've got to take her word for it, that she had a professional photographer next to her who looked at her photos of a lion or a leopard or something she'd shot in a tree with an SX70HS, and he just went, "Oh my God, how good are these cameras now?" He said, that's better than that's more reach than I'm getting, and better low light performance than I'm getting. Now, this is out of an SX70HS, which does have a very good image processor on board. The point I'm getting back to, though, is she showed me some of her photos, and they were prone to a little bit of noise. So while she was in my shop, I ran it through Topaz or Gigapixel or one of these programs and just said, there you go, it's fixed. The ethical question I have is it now her image?
Oh, you're going that way. I thought you were going to go a completely different way with that.
Is it now her photo? I mean, it's been edited. We've reduced noise, we've sharpened it, we've brightened the image.
Yeah.
the composition, yes, that is hers.
Yeah,
That
the whole
can't be
lot's
taken
hers.
away.
No, the whole lot's hers because she's pressed the button.
Yep.
I'm happy to say, yep, that's hers.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Cool. So
because
this
yeah,
brings me back to what Peter's saying is, so go on. I'll tell you what, Nikon make their P1000. It used to be called a P900, then it went to the
yeah,
950, now it's the P1000. There's one massive downside about that thing. It's a heavy sucker.
yeah,
That weighs more than all your other gear. But if you look at those little compact Canons, and I'm sure Panasonic make the FZ3 or FZ1000 or something like that, that's got a
yeah.
similar focal range to it. It's interesting times.
Well, I think it all comes back down to this is the whole thing that's going on with photography at the moment is who gives a shit about your photos apart
Yep,
from you?
that's right.
Like if you're shooting to impress other people and buying gear around that theory that I have to buy gear to be good and be as good as everyone else, then you've completely lost your whole train of photography there.
Yep.
So many people, like, why do we care? Like, why can't that lady go out and spend $700 on a Canon with a 50,000 optical zoom on it and get this crazy shot of a line and put it through all the topaz stuff and fix it up and make it look awesome? Why not?
Yep.
Why can't we all do that? Why are we all going out and buying these expensive cameras? I don't get it.
It's
Like,
interesting, isn't it? And it comes back to a few. Now, well, I'm not suggesting for a second Peter is like that,
no,
is prestigious and wants to have the latest flash
no,
gear and
no,
all that sort of stuff.
no.
What I am saying though is it's not out of the question for Peter to go and look for a camera like that and at
Yeah,
least see what they can do. And I think what I would do if I was in Peter's shoes is I would look for reliability,
yeah,
um, you know, obviously quality. Someone said it the other day, and I don't know who it was. It might have been, I don't know, it was some blogger or YouTuber, one of the big ones in the States, said from the very beginning of their one of their episodes, it is almost impossible now to buy a bad camera.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and not a truer word has been spoken.
yeah. Yeah. I think everything that's out there at the moment is fantastic. Um, here's a question for you. Is it more a male thing than a female thing to go out to a shop and buy one of these super zoom things and like this feels like there's a bit of swallowing the pride and your manhood about this. If you go into a camera shop with a big set of camera lenses and looking to upgrade and you walk out with a smaller camera with a compact zoom that can do the same job for you, I think I think there's a thing with males who they won't do it. Where females I think are a bit more, well, if that's going to work, if that's going to solve my problem and going to help me out, then sign me up.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's a bit of an ego thing with this with people
Possibly.
buying
I
cameras.
haven't really given that a lot of thought, and that's a question without notice. But
There is.
possibly. I mean, I suppose for me, is there ego attached to me carrying around an Olympus EM1X with a 100 to 400 lens on it? Maybe. I
Totally.
mean, I,
Totally.
I like having the big gear though because I've got big
Yeah.
hands, and that fits my style of shooting as well. The
Yeah.
stability, feeling like it's a stable camera. So the drawback of the SX70HS is it's almost too light, and the
Yeah.
buttons are almost too small.
Yeah.
So it
See,
does suit
there's
smaller
physical
people.
yeah, there's physical elements to buying cameras, I think. I think you're
Yes.
like, if you've got issues with wrists or hands or shoulders or elbows and you can't carry that full camera gear and the whole heavy stuff, then cool. Or if you've got big man hands or big lady hands, depending on what you're doing, whether or not you're one of those smaller cameras you can't like I pick up the EM5 or the EM10 and I find that too small. And I don't have big hands, but I find it a bit too small.
Yeah.
But I think some of that practicality of what we want to use it for and how we're going to use it goes out the window for that keeping up with the Joneses or that FOMO. I think it happens a lot, and I don't get it. It's a psychological thing about photography, and these days with all the great cameras that are out there on the shelves to buy, that people just feel that they get drawn into buying the best of the best, and which may not necessarily suit all there. Like, look at me. Like, I bought the GFX 100, right? It's a 100 megapixel medium format camera. It's got some of the best files that I've ever seen come out of a camera. Every photo I take out of that, I feel really happy about, but it doesn't work for me. It's too heavy. It's too bulky. I've got issues with the wrist that makes it sore after a while. I don't want to carry it hiking the whole lot. I've bought the camera 3 times because I keep saying to myself, but it's medium format. It's 100 megapixels. I've got to have it.
Yeah, and it
And
produces, as you say, it does produce a wonderful
produces
image.
great shots. But I can guarantee you now, not one person has looked at some shots and gone, "Oh, that must be the medium format versus
Yeah,
the Olympus."
yeah.
No one does it.
No one's buying your photos based on what you
No one's,
what you
no
use
one's
to take
buying
the
it. Full
photo.
stop.
Well, that's true.
But that's the thing. Like, it's only my internalizing of it all that I look at it and go, "I've got to have that because, in my mind, that's the best I can have." And it's not. Yeah.
I'm gonna produce a matrix, and it's going to be like a the old fashioned flow chart, and it's going to be
Yes.
like, am I looking for a camera? Yes. Follow this. Am I
Yes.
looking for a camera?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Have a nice day. And then it's going to say, yeah, yes. Okay. Do I
Stick to your
like,
phone.
yeah. Do I like landscape?
Yeah.
Do I like blah, blah, blah? And then yes, down to here, down, I
I tell you
reckon
what.
that'd be interesting to do.
Tell you what we should do. We should marry that up with an app that tells you all the places around Australia where to put your camera and go stomping
Well,
and
that's a
put it
good
all
idea.
together. And perfect. Funny thing, James Poppus or Popsis, whatever his name is, the
James
YouTuber.
Popsis.
Popsis, we should get him on. He's a legend.
He's a
He did
very
something on. He did something with his audience the other day where he did pie charts of what
I
all
did
these
see that. Yeah.
they all use, and it was quite interesting what people used, how many cameras people had, what type of cameras. Feel a quarter of people that watch his channel, which is 270,000 followers, almost up to us. A quarter of them use film cameras still,
Hmm.
which I thought was really interesting. But yeah, it's a funny but good time we live in. We're spoilt with choice with cameras, and I think sometimes people, I think you need to swim in your own lane, is what I guess I'm trying to say with photography. If you're not a professional out there taking thousands of shots a year, don't go buy the top line. You don't need it.
No.
If you are a working professional or you sell lots of your images or you do a specific genre that needs X, Y, or Z, then yeah, go buy that camera that suits
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah, that's right. And not for a second am I suggesting that a professional photographer should be shooting with a Canon SX70HS. That's missing the point. The point I was making there was A, budget.
yeah,
B, will it give you everything a enthusiast needs? Absolutely. Will it
yeah.
shoot to a pro level? In some cases, yes.
And if not, you
But
can make it go to pro level.
that's right. And for workflow, no. I mean, you're not going to go and shoot the 100-meter final at the Olympics next week with an SX70HS. You
You
need
just
frame rate, you need shutter speed, you need to be able to send those files immediately, all the wireless applications and all that sort of. I understand that. However,
I can feel an email from taking the piss coming here
oh, he's given up.
saying how dare
He
you
or she has given up.
how dare you downplay the Canon SX70X, whatever it is.
That's right.
There'll be some pissing and moaning about how we've done something wrong there again. Unbelievable.
See, look, I
uh,
even pumped up a Canon camera.
Look, it's an interesting one, and Peter, getting back to his original question, I think the main thing comes down to one, budget, and two, need. Like,
Yeah.
okay, do you need full frame? Do you need to blow up big? Do you want to crop heavily? Do you want to this X, Y, and Z? If not, then crop sensors are going to do you fine. But like we said, we probably feel like they're going to sort of fade out eventually.
Yeah, I probably
Can
think maybe if in summary with Peter, what
Mm,
is our advice? Well, my advice is this: stick with your Olympus for a little longer, Pete, because
yep,
you said it yourself. I prefer the size and weight of the Nikon, but like the smaller lenses from the Olympus, and
yep,
the Olympus is giving him the reach that he wants with the gear that he's
yep,
got now.
yep.
So maybe that means just cooling your jets for 12 months, see what comes along.
You notice what he hasn't said at all throughout that, which I think is a very key element to this argument or discussion we're having. Not once has he said there, I like the quality of file out of the Nikon versus the quality of file out of the Olympus. This
Yeah.
has got absolutely nothing to do with file quality, which is interesting. So really, this is just an aesthetics thing. Like I like the size of this one versus the size of that one. So
Yeah.
really, like the main thing I look for is what kind of quality file I'm going to get out of my camera. And I like with that matrix, do I want high megapixel? Yes. Do I want a small version? Yeah. Okay. Well, you can have this camera.
Yeah.
It's not, or yes, I want more megapixels, and I want a bigger camera. Okay, then you're going down this road.
Yeah.
So maybe we should do this matrix. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, you heard it here first. Copyright Brendan Wade's photography. Um, Yeah, interesting. Pete, thanks so much for the question, because not only has it given us an entire episode to dissect the current state of play as in regards to what people are looking for when they're buying gear, it's also opened up a few interesting questions for us. So if you are in a similar position to Peter and you've got questions about gear that you're looking to buy, by all means, drop us a line, dsps.com.au, do it via our Facebook page, or hit us up with an email, which you can find at dsps.com.au.
What are you? This is where we put the ad break in. Yeah, it's a good one, and it's very common. I think Peter would be amongst a lot of friends out in the photography community at the moment, about, especially with these new cameras that are coming out every 6 months. You can't help but sit there and go, oh, maybe I need to upgrade to that. Like, and then you start doing. I used to do all the time. You go to DP Review and compare one model to the other, and the whole lot.
And thank goodness DP Review survived.
Yes,
you
just for that
can.
feature alone.
So what DP Review, and I've said this before, it gives you the side-by-side comparison, and you can load up like I think 3 or 4 cameras and just literally have their specs side by side, and you can see exactly what they do from a specs point of view. It will never tell you ergonomics. It will never tell you how it's going to feel in your hand and how it's going to make you feel to shoot with, and that's going to be down to experience. But DP Review is great for that.
That's why camera shops are so important, because you can
particularly
still
independents.
Independent camera stores especially, because you can go put side by side, what you got versus what you don't have. And if it's worthwhile, like the thing is, you buy online, you might get this camera that's got all the specs that are amazing, but you get it back and it's got, buttons that don't work for your fingers, or it's just too bulky or whatever it is. So it is a good thing to do. And great question. And no doubt we'll get some more.
Thank you, Peter. Quick shout out to Eli, who popped into my shop to say g'day, listens to the podcast. If you come into my shop and say hi, you get a shout out. So hello, Eli. Doing very, very good things with your photography. Printed some lovely images. It's a bit of photo art for Eli during the day. So
that's a cool name.
Hello to you.
Is that boy or girl, Eli?
That is a male Eli.
Are we allowed to ask pronouns? I don't
know. He had a beard. They had a beard.
She can have a beard too. I've met a few ladies with beards.
You've got a beard.
Wow, that went south. Politics. Hey, don't talk about politics.
No.
Our America trip's getting better and better by the day.
This is going to be fantastic. Beer donations, Cameron, if you don't mind.
Beer donations. Ryan S. I think first time donators. I thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Jenny C and Mel H just scraped in today, actually. So,
well, they weren't to know that we were recording quite early in the week. So thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Mel. Absolute pillars of the Down South Photo Show.
With Mel and his tardiness with his beer donations, I'm thinking of start calling him Mel Biden, but we better not.
Oh dear. Anyway. Cameron.
Yes, it's me.
Where are you? What do you got coming up, Cameron? I know where you are for the next few days, but then you're off somewhere else.
Yeah, why am I in Greensboro? Obviously to catch up with family and a few friends, and going and catch up with 5-Star Dan tomorrow up in King Lake, up in the clouds. But we are going on a bit of a break for a week. We're going to go fly to a little island called Fiji. So we fly out later this week, and we'll be back next week. Just a bit of an R&R. We came across some really super cheap deals to Fiji with flights and accommodation. We haven't been there for a little while, but it'd be good to get back to the island and just chill out.
Bit of family time.
Probably get offline for a little while.
Attaboy.
I've got to take my Leica, because for those who don't know, if you buy a camera within 30 days or 90 days, 30 days and traveling outside of Australia, you can, with the original receipt and the equipment, claim back your 10% GST on that on the way out.
It's known as the Tourist Refund Scheme, and you can claim it as a TRS counter as you leave customs.
Are they open all night or all day?
24/7.
Excellent. So I'm gonna take my camera to Fiji. Whether or not I use it much, I don't know. I might just leave it in the bag, secure, and
take it so you can claim the tax back on it. And happy days.
That's it. That's all I'm going to do it for.
Lovely.
So I'm going off to there, and I'll be back next week, and then I'm into some steam train workshops when I get back, which would be really cool.
Right. Yes. Are they're linked below? Are they sold? What's going on with those?
They're not sold out. It's with the West Coast Railway.
That's right.
Journey on the west coast of Tasmania out of Queenstown. The tickets are through them, so we might put a link down the bottom. There might be a couple of spots in each one. It's the first Saturday of August and the third Saturday of August.
Fantastic.
But yeah, look it up. You'll find it online. It's called the Steam Under the Stars.
Brilliant.
Nice.
Nice.
What about you? You working still, or are you having a holiday?
Yeah, so I'll be. It's going to be business as usual for the next few weeks. I do have a child becoming an adult next week, so we're having. Why have one party when you can have two? We have our family gathering on the weekend, and the following weekend, my lovely daughter has all of her friends coming over.
That'll be fun.
Celebrate her turning 18. So
How does that
that's
make
great.
you
It's
feel
very
as a father?
oh, super proud. We got her to adulthood in one piece, so that's no mean feat these days.
And she's a smart cookie, that one.
She's a ripper, that kid. So that'll be me. But also shout out to Sharon and Alan. Now, Alan, Sharon, you were on the Great Ocean Road workshop with us.
Those two Shaz and Elle. Yep.
You have requested for me to do some canvas prints for you. I will be onto those this week. I assure you.
Yeah, probably. Now, how's my canvas going?
Your canvas that I forgot to do as well. I've got this. I've got the equipment for it. I just got to put it together. I just got to print the thing. No, I've got to print it as well. I've actually just got to put it together.
No, we printed it. We printed it.
Yeah, we printed it. I've just got to actually stretch it and frame it.
I can't even remember what canvas is. I can't remember what photo is now.
It's a redwoods forest one.
Oh, this too. Yes. Okay.
It's sitting rolled up on my stretch desk at work. But anyway.
Right. That's right.
Because I saw it's your name attached to it, I was like, back burner. I'll get these other people.
I was going to say, make sure Sharon and Alan get theirs first.
Sharon sent me some fantastic photos that she did on the Great Ocean Road workshop. So she did a great job. Well, as everyone did. But yeah, she sent me 4 of her photos. Alan sent me a couple of shots to choose from as well.
I thought you were going to say Alan's were shit.
No, Alan's were wonderful.
Alan's a funny guy. He's good value, Alan.
Yes, and I know he's grinding his teeth because I said I think he sent me those like a month ago to get done. But hey, good things come to those who wait, Al.
Didn't you play golf last week with me?
Yeah, but that's priorities, mate.
Oh, okay.
That was mental health time.
That's it. Yes, we all need that, don't we?
Exactly. Enjoy your time away, Cam.
Thanks, mate.
We will talk to you in a week or so. That is it. That's the podcast. This has been episode 129 of the Down South Photo Show. We will catch up in the near future for episode number 130.
Wow, we're getting to 150 soon.
How do you say goodbye in Fiji? There must be a way.
Oh, God. I know how to say hello, Bulla. I don't know how to say
that'll do.
Bulla. Hey,
bye for now.
We might check in from Fiji. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. See you, mate.
All right, bye, guys.